I'm Peter Loshak, and we are kicking off our 2013 NBA playoffs coverage right now in the best way possible, in my opinion. We're talking with Tim Donaghy joining us on the phone. Tim is, of course, a former NBA ref who wrote a fascinating book about his experiences and now is handicapping NBA games professionally at his new website, refpicks.com. Tim, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so that's your website, right? refpicks.com. Tell us a little bit about that first before we start.
Yeah, refpicks.com is basically a website where we put out predictions on professional and college sporting events. Right now our overall record with all our top handicappers is 68%, which is extremely good in the business. So we're excited to keep moving forward at that percent.
Right. And obviously your experience, being in, around the NBA games on the court day in and day out, it helps tremendously, I would assume. You have a perspective that you just can't get even from statistical analysis, right?
No doubt about it. I mean, there's definitely a feel for the game that I got with 13 years of on-court experience. I just posted a play actually on the website today in regard to the Lakers and Houston Rockets game last night when Houston is up by 9 points and James Harden goes to the hole and actually gets fouled very hard by Dwight Howard, but there's no call there. And I go into an explanation of why there's no call, and it's certainly a situation where the referees know at this point that the Lakers need a win for the playoffs. Houston's up 9, and everyone's sitting there shaking their head, but they're not going to give James Harden that call in that situation.
What you just mentioned, it sort of alludes to something that we discuss on our website all the time, which is that there's an element of I'm not saying everything. There's an element of the NBA being a little bit scripted, not necessarily fully scripted like professional wrestling, but people are constantly speculating and discussing the element of certain aspects of the NBA being scripted, and I guess you would agree with that assessment.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm never going to tell you that the NBA's fixed or David Stern tells a referee to go out and totally screw over a team, but the way they program and train the referees in these meetings puts a team at an advantage or a disadvantage. And I'm sure yesterday, and to use the Lakers and Houston Rockets as an example, again, the referees talked about how important this game was to the Lakers. And, it's a matter of them making the playoffs or not making the playoffs. So if they're going to err, they're going to err on the side of the Lakers because Houston's already in. And if they make a call that determines the outcome of this game and it takes the Lakers out of the playoffs, there's going to be huge ramifications, not only for the officials, but for the league losing millions and millions of dollars to their top market team not making the playoffs.
Absolutely. All right, well, there you go, folks, straight from the horse's mouth. We won't call it scripted or fixed. We'll call them intangibles. We'll call them non-quantifiable intangibles. Tim Donaghy, probably the best person we could discuss this aspect of NBA handicapping with. All right, so let's move right now into the NBA playoffs, just in general, in terms of, intangibles, shall we say. What are some things in general that you look for in the NBA playoffs?
I mean, you're going to definitely have this year in the Western Conference a lot, and I mean a lot of controversial calls that are going to be made because other than Oklahoma City and the Lakers, I mean, the other three matchups, really either team could win. So I think it's going to come down to the officiating in those contests and who really is able to get the benefits of the calls because there's going to be calls made in these games down the stretch that are going to affect the outcome and affect one team moving on to the second round. I really look for a lot of controversy in the Western Conference.
So it sounds to me like you're going to be looking for more like 6 and 7 game series and maybe that the refs will be leaning towards stretching the series out?
No doubt about it. They certainly want to stretch the series out, especially if it ends up 3-1 or 3-0 in a series. The team that's down is definitely going to get the benefit of those calls. But I think that in the Western Conference, these other matchups, other than the Lakers and Oklahoma City, are so evenly matched that it's really going to come down to the officiating, and you're going to see a lot of controversy in some of these games.
All right. So, which of the 16 teams in the playoffs this year do you think might be overvalued or undervalued?
I think the Lakers are certainly overvalued. I don't think that they really deserve to be in the playoffs this year. I think that they got the benefit of a lot of calls late in the season to help them get in.
All right, and then are there any teams that you think might be a little bit undervalued, you think might be a good bet on their spreads, at least in the first round series?
I mean, when you talk about betting against the spread, you got to really look at it that morning. You have to know what the spread is. It's tough to make a comment like that when
absolutely.
You really don't know what the exact spread is at this point. But again, I do look for some controversy in that Western Conference. You're going to see a lot of things happen. They're going to be played over and over again that are going to cost the team a game.
Right. Makes some sense. That makes me think dogs in the West in general, lean towards dogs in the West. And then I know based on just what people say, you're pretty good with totals. Is that true?
I do. I like the totals. That's what I really concentrate on, because when I can look at three referees on a game
Right.
and know their tendency to whether there's going to be a good flow to the game or if they're going to interrupt the flow and take guys out of their rhythm, I can decide whether I think the game should go over or under. And this year and the past 3 years, I've been very successful at doing that.
Right, absolutely. And I feel like, things can take a drastic change in the playoffs because the totals for the playoffs, are set on regular season stats and numbers. But the strategies and all the intangibles, as we've said, can change significantly in the playoffs. So what are some strategies that you might use to handicap totals in the playoffs in general?
The same thing that I use during the regular season. I'll take a look at the referees, look at their tendencies on do they like to call hand checking? Do they like to call people that impede each other in the post? What type of flow the game will basically have? And again, if there's a good flow, there's usually a lot of points on the board in these games. And I can tell you that the first couple games that come out, they're definitely going to have a quick whistle because they want to set a stage for everybody in the playoffs to see, just so everyone realizes that the rules that were enforced in the regular season are going to also be enforced in these playoff games.
All right, well, this has been a great call, as I expected. Tim Donaghy from refpicks.com. All your playoff picks, I assume, will be at refpicks.com. And thanks so much. Tim Donaghy, former NBA ref. Really appreciate it.